crease. And then you just kind of let her tip back to you, and she keeps the one leg extended. And I put my hand out to catch that trailing leg, and we do a nice easy dismount. Okay, this is a camel. We're going to transition it into a high swan. I bend down and I grab her thighs lower than I would with a fake arm to arm where I'm grabbing her hips. I use a C grip on her thigh and I press her up, and she extends one leg up and keeps one knee pulled towards me. I let my left hand flow out to the side. It's important that I keep it at a 90-degree angle. Otherwise, her right hand will slip off my shoulder. This gives her a real nice, solid platform. So all this time she's in a heavy arch. Her foot is up and a little bit, pulling back towards her other leg, and she holds this good and solid. Once we've held this for 4 seconds, in competition I like to hold it for 4. When we're practicing on the beach, we usually hold each lift for 10 seconds. That way we know, that we believe that we have each one of these lifts. Then I bring my hand back to her hip, and I take the other hand, put it back to her other hip, and I use similar grip to what I would if I was going to be lifting her into the fake arm to arm. I try to let my fingers flow up her waist a little bit. It gives her more of a platform when she pushes off. Now she extends her leg, I drop my arms and my knees a little, and I push her up. She does a big press off of my shoulders and arches back and up and into a high swan. There's another way you can do a high swan. From the beach, the girl sits right next to you or stands right next to you, facing you. You raise your palms upwards, pressing them against her hip. I have the girl kind of press into me so I don't push her away. And she grabs your wrists and you go down and then press her right up into the high swan. So there's different ways to do all of these lifts. This is just one that really works good for points and sequence. Matt and Yumi demonstrated in arabesque. I think this is their 3rd time to ever try it. Matt, you lift almost like it's a fake arm to arm, but it goes into just that one hand. The key thing here is the woman has to press and go straight up as hard as she can, and then she needs to bring her left leg right towards your face so that the man can reach and grab her calf or ankle, bottom of her foot, and keep pulling it. The critical thing here is you need to pull her ankle towards the alignment of your other arm. If you bring it into the middle of your body, she's going to start falling over. So you lift with your right arm and grab her leg with your left arm and pull that left arm, her foot, directly under your right armpit. And then as she reaches the very top of her lift, she needs to make sure to begin her arabesque, or your hand will keep slipping up her body. Okay, so this is an arabesque, Matt and Yumi. Okay, this is a back angel. It's similar in some respects to the way the woman is jumping up into it to a one-arm back. The famous scissor kick, where she pushes with her left foot and then presses straight down with her right foot and goes up into the air. The difference is his left arm leans against her lower back. His hand just kind of gently rests sideways with the knife part of the hand just slightly against the small of her back, and she lets her left hand loop in between his forearm and his bicep. Then they go down like they're going to be going into a one-arm back, and she does a big jump. He lifts her up, and at the top of it, you can see the critical thing is that her hand releases, and she allows it to slide across his chest, and she's held up into that position by the pressure of her arm against his chest. And the more she can let it slide across his chest to his other arm, the better it will be for them. And then she just stays in that arch, and they hold that position for 4 seconds, and then it comes right back down. All right, there's another series of lifts that pretty much start out the same way, and that is the grass shack, the low stag, and the high reverse stag. They start out with the woman putting her hand on the man's head. Her right hand goes to her right hip. She raises up her left leg. He grabs her ankle. He takes his right hand, the web of his right hand, and puts it high against her thigh, in kind of the same position you would be taking a hike if you were a quarterback. They go down. She presses with her right. She jumps with her right foot, presses with her left leg, fully extends it. He lifts her and sets her on his shoulder, all the time leaving his right hand in her thigh. To do a grass shack, he reaches up with his left hand behind his head as she's sitting there and reaches for her shoulder. It's the opposite shoulder from the leg where his hand is holding. As he travels up her back to her shoulder, then she falls. He almost pulls her back into an upside down swan. So it's important that the woman not just fall back, or the guy can't get his hand in the right position on her shoulder blade. So he has, in this case, he would have her left thigh with his right hand, and he would have her right shoulder with his left hand, pulls her down, and she arches her back really hard, squeezes her butt tight. She looks back to the ground. Her hands are sideways about to where the man's face is. And he just basically does a military press. Presses her up, holds her for the count, brings her back to his shoulders. The next sequence out of this is she can lean forward on her side more, and he lets his hand slip on her thigh from the back of the thigh to the lower bottom side of the thigh. And then she takes her lower leg and bends it. She puts her foot on the inside of her knee and bends her bottom knee downwards, and he reaches behind that bottom leg to the lower part of her thigh and holds on to it. And he takes his other hand and reaches up into her armpit she's kind of sitting upwards almost at an angle, and she wraps her